All right, so this is a suggestion via a channel member. Let's go and jump into it, guys. Let's see where this video takes us immediately.
Now, it's been a while since we've featured the asinine content of alleged comic John Oliver.
Alleged.
Here he is encouraging people to harass ICE agents.
I absolutely love that woman said, "I came to bother ICE." Because that seems reasonable to me. If ICE can show up and bother some guys at their roofing job, then bystanders should be able to bother ICE at their state-sanctioned kidnapping job.
Wow.
It is only fair.
Joining me now
Him next.
is filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, ICE agents are having their lives threatened. They are having to cover their faces to protect themselves and their families. And we've got a comic, alleged comic, encouraging leftists to confront and harass these agents doing their job.
Yeah, Rita, the consent structure allowed by the mainstream media is incredible. And so allowing for these attacks to happen, I'm sorry, there is a causal relationship between what is happening here. When people look at celebrities, at the media, at people they think are within the Overton window, and they hear them speak like this, of course they're going to act in that way.
Weak-minded people.
And in reality, what's happening with the media is that they're actually shifting the Overton window. They're actually expanding it to allow for physical violence for politics. That's exactly what we're seeing here. Look, this is also with judges. Kavanaugh, the person who tried to kill Kavanaugh, right? The Supreme Court Justice of the United States got sentenced to 8 years in prison. Just a couple of things that you get 8 years in prison for. Mail fraud and securities fraud in the United States typically gets 8 years in prison.
Right, not specifically trying to pack up somebody,
Supreme
guys.
Court Justice. And these ICE attacks are happening all across the country. Rita, if you again indulge me for another chapter of The World According to ChatGPT, right? Sorry, I'm workshopping that name. I'll come with a better one next week. But yes, when I did my research, I asked ChatGPT, I go, how many attacks on ICE agents have we seen in 2025? That was what I asked it. And then it said, it listed 3. And I said, that does not sound right. 3? I said, well, I witnessed one personally in Los Angeles. I said, Ami, why did you not mention attacks on ICE agents in Los Angeles? ChatGPT. You're right to point that out. There actually was an attack in Los Angeles that I missed on my earlier list. Are you kidding me? And by the way, it wasn't 4 attacks.
Well, guys, really quickly, guys, ChatGPT is not infallible here. And I want to kind of point out something that before we kind of get too far into the story here, it's very important, specifically if you are someone that has a platform, to not be in promotion of absolute craziness. Like, I understand the concept of potentially like picking a side eventually, but when you know that there are viewers that have the ability to kind of like garner some type of like parasocial relationship with you, the last thing you really need to do is tell them to go out and do craziness here. Listen, I have no problem with the concept of protesting. Bro, if you want to protest, please. All right, utilize your First Amendment. In fact, I want you to. But when you start telling people, right, that already have a parasocial relationship to you, they kind of look up to you like you're a teacher or an orator because you're on the screen talking to them. The last thing you really need to do, sir, is to tell them to do absolute debauchery, sir. All right, this is just from me to John Oliver here, guys.
I looked it up myself. There had been a 700% increase on ICE attacks from 2024 to 2025. There have been 79 attacks on ICE agents. This is allowed in the left-wing Democratic consent structure. This is what we're seeing here, okay? And this is not new. We saw this in BLM. But when I was a kid, the notion, the idea that you would put, forget it when I was a kid, 5 years ago, that you would put a hand on a police officer, never mind a federal official, was pure insanity.
I agree.
But then when we allowed BLM riots to go on, and we allowed them to light cop cars on fire, this is the end result. This is what we're seeing now.
Yeah, the logical extreme.
Now, Ami, this next bit of news will need to come with a trigger warning for the left. But despite the relentless bad media, Donald Trump has the steadiest approval rating of any president on record and would be re-elected today if an election were held. Take it away, CNN.
Here's the thing to keep in mind. This was good enough to get Trump reelected back in 2024. And Donald Trump is basically at the same point here right now, which I think would surprise a lot of folks, especially a lot of folks on the left who very much disagree with a lot of what Donald Trump has done. Is Trump doing what he promised in the 2024 campaign? Yes, 52%. The majority of Americans say that Donald Trump is doing what he promised, compared to 48% who said no. So what essentially is going on here is the voters expected all of this from Donald Trump. The majority did, and that is why his favorable rating, simply put, has not really moved all that much compared to where it was a year ago. Trump is basically doing what the American people thought that he was going to do. Indeed, if you look at the numbers, Trump has basically the steadiest favorable rating this much through a presidency of any president on record, and it's basically where he was a year ago, good enough to get him reelected.
Interesting here. Like, yeah, on what you guys said, it's got to soak those numbers in, because they're really important in the context of what I'm about to say here. All right. Listen, there are people who seriously believe that America is what is kind of depicted on TikTok by mainly Gen Z and California type of people, guys. Right? They really perceive the entirety of the United States of America to be some excessively left-leaning, like liberal stronghold. In reality, the ones who are just the loudest are generally the ones who are partaking, let's say, in like woe is me type of politics, right? Or victimhood mentality type of politics, right? And think about what is popular currently on TikTok and what Gen Z, Gen A is basically pushing out to the public. What do they want you to consume? Okay, that is not America. America, right, specifically seems to be a place of laws. Obviously, we want to maintain the concept of like a lawful environment, not specifically what Gen Z, Gen A is trying to say that America is, right? Because it isn't, right? It will never be what they perceive it to be, and they're so deep and like tightly knit within their echo chambers that they truthfully believe the nonsense that they spew on TikTok and like a good amount of the social media platforms, guys. Unfortunately, guys, I get it. You want it, but it doesn't represent the entirety of the United States of America. And I do think that these poll numbers are basically showing that to us.
That's all very interesting. But what do you think is going to happen in the midterms?
Look, traditionally in midterms, the party in power loses seats. And the Democrats are doing whatever they can to make sure that doesn't happen this time. The president won the election, right? He won the election because of the two main issues, the economy and illegal immigration, right? And what has he done? Well, illegal immigration is down, like illegal border crossings, is down over 90% this year.
94.7.
90, not 9%,
right.
90%. That is an unbelievably incredibly high number. Okay?
It is.
And in inflation, we're down this year 42% from the 3-year average where inflation was in 3 years prior. Okay? That's why if the election was held today, the president would win again. But it's not just the president acting in a positive way. A lot of it is the Democrats acting in a negative way and losing support, which is the other side of the ledger.
Yeah, acting crazy.
When they continue to take the wrong side of 80-20 issues, right? We talked about it before. We'll continue talking about it going forward. When they are shutting down the government, in no small part because they want illegal aliens to get government-funded health care, that's a problem for your party. When you're a party calling for cashless bail, allowing people who've committed crimes back into the cities to commit more crimes, that is a problem for your party. So, yeah, that's why you're seeing those numbers.
They don't believe it, though.
And I'm not sure that the midterm election history will repeat itself.
Okay, guys. Okay. Yeah, the midterm elections, I don't think that there's going to be like a blue wave here because, again, you're right. Trump is, in fact, doing what he promised. Everyone knew exactly what he was going to do. He was going to attack the economy. And the reason why I'm kind of like all over the place, I'd say mentally, when it comes down to the economy is that it's troubling because, yeah, things are technically cheaper, but I mean, compared to what exactly? Everything is still more expensive than it actually should be. I mean, like, listen, we're still, for the most part, in a real estate bubble. For those of us who are in fact within the real estate investing type of community, let's say, it's lovely for us, but we are the minority. right? And I do think that when we look at these type of things, we need to kind of look at what things are like for the average person trying to buy their first house, or attempt to rent a property that is massively overpriced because just because the value went up, that means that the property tax also now needs to go up along with it, guys, right? And so when that happens, what happens? That means rent prices go up because, of course, the people who actually own the structure that you're paying rent to, their bills have just gone up, and there are sometimes where people. For example, there are some people who perceive like real estate investors or people or like landlords specifically to be earning kind of like hand over fist in terms of things. Guys, the margins are incredibly small. All right, the margins are very small. I mean, there are some times where you could be renting a property for maybe $100, $200, $300 like profit on top of the rent, if that makes any sense here. And that generally is not going to be spent at all, so you're not really using it because you need to save that money for any type of damages that happen to the property, et cetera, right? So. For the average person, I think they're not really seeing much of a difference because their wages haven't gone up that much, guys. All right, and because their wages have stayed the same since the 70s, let's say, which have a lot of reasons, let's say. Outsourcing labor, the other half of the population basically, hitting the market, and like there's a whole lot of things that happened in like the late 60s to 70s, guys, that are like the legitimate reason. Rugged capitalism. We can have full blown conversations, right, about exactly what happened and why your wages are not going to go up. They're just not, because they can replace you with someone that'll do it for cheaper. There's so many people out there looking for jobs. Technically, right? And so the economy is a tricky thing. Things are still expensive for the average person. Asset prices have gone absolutely crazy. I still think that we're kind of like rebounding from when the BRICS nations got together. BRICS nations being Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. When these nations decided to get together and try to overthrow the U.S. dollar, back when they started purchasing copious amounts of gold and silver and other precious metals, that basically shot the overall price of these assets up. Okay, so that's kind of a thing that's happening here, and because of that, guys, I don't know what we're truthfully expecting from the economy. Truth be told here, but now in terms of Trump and what am I talking about here? And immigration, great job. All right. Listen, I am someone who has in fact immigrated into multiple countries here, Spain, specifically Andalusia, Spain, and South Korea. I've immigrated twice to two different places. I immigrated my wife from Spain to the United States of America along with my son, legally. Everything's all legal here, guys, and it's just like, listen, guys. To immigrate into the United States of America is incredibly expensive. I think it costs, less than like $200-$300, or so, maybe less than that, to immigrate into Spain specifically. Obviously, immigrating to Spain that opens up the rest of Europe, and you can utilize your Spanish residency to basically kind of be anywhere type of thing, guys, right? In Europe, at least. And so the thing is, do it the right way. I know it's expensive, okay? I know it's expensive. Do it the right way. Come to the United States of America in a manner that is conducive to the law. Let's say, make the first act that you have in the United States of America a legal one. Kind of show her, basically, the United States of America, that you're not here to basically use it like a piggy bank. Let's say, like there are many people doing right now, breaking into our country in the most illegal way they possibly can, to earn money, just to send money out of the United States of America back to their home country, because the US dollar is worth more, guys, right? And this is also one of the reasons why the BRICS nations kind of formed a coalition together to try to dethrone any, I guess, our fiat currency. For the most part, they tried to dethrone it because they're like, listen, look at what America did to Russia when Russia invaded the Ukraine, right? They immediately was like, listen, all of your stuff is done. All right, we're not helping you out no more. You're not going to utilize our dollar, all these other things. We're not going to buy things from you, all types of craziness. So what was their goal? Their goal was to absolutely get rid of the US dollar and create something that's actually tangible. Like back when the US dollar was backed on gold and not so much our force, our might, our name, our failing credit score, guys. You get what I'm saying here, guys, hopefully. But either way, listen, guys, if you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. In the meantime, if there's any more, we'll follow it, obviously, guys. But I'll catch you guys later.